Worlds Collide. The show that went on just before Money in the Bank. Now, I did not see it because I had other stuff to do. So, like I said, I will review it the next day, and I am reviewing it. Well, technically, I'm giving my thoughts more than I'm reviewing it. Because let's make this very clear. Was this a spectacular show more than Money in the Bank? No. Let's make this very clear. If you compare Money in the Bank to this, it was not better. But it's not about it being better. It's about what it represents. And that's what this is all about, guys. This is what you got to understand. If you're going to talk about what had better wrestling, it will be this if you like the Lucha Libre type of style of wrestling. And I want to make this very clear. I didn't hate the show. I didn't. I've always liked a well-balanced type of show where you got high flying, some chain wrestling, some story, something. I'm not all high flying. Some of this I didn't mind, but I understand it because, well, guess what? Just like in Japanese wrestling, where they got strong style, you got Lucha Libre. If you like that style, you're going to love this show. Me, I was fine with it, but it wasn't something that I would go out of my way to watch it constantly. That's what I'm going to say. But let's get into the show, the matches, and then the thoughts I have. It's not going to take me long. The six-man tag. Now, I recognize Aerostar. I recognized LWO. And one of the members who used to be in, what was the guy's name? A Tiger. I believe his name was a Tiger when he was in the Lucha House Party. So I did recognize him. The one that was new to me was Mr. Iguana. I think that's what his name is. He was the only one there that stood out the most to me personally, with that puppet of an iguana and him being the way he is. And I felt that was the most entertaining that I got there. It wasn't just about how well the Lucha Libre went off, because let's make it very clear. The guys from LWO, they know how to do Lucha Libre. And I want to make this clear. What do we actually have here? Because when you watch the show yourself, if you don't speak Spanish, you're going to have to fast forward through most of what they talk about until they reach English, which I had to. Because I don't speak Spanish. I don't know it. But the thing that got me when I heard Conan talk, and let's make this clear, Conan with Corey Graves was not a very good combination. I understand why they put Conan there, because I do believe he also does commentary for Triple A. And Conan in English is not as good as probably Conan in Spanish. I've never heard Conan speak in Spanish when he did commentary. I have heard him speak Spanish. He's way more fluid when it comes to speaking in Spanish. Not that English wasn't the first language, second language, doesn't matter. I truly believe if he does commentary for Triple A, he speaks way better in Spanish than he does in English. Because his timing with Corey was not that great. His excitement with Corey was not that great. He had his moments, a few moments where he really got animated. You can hear that he's super excited. But when it came to his commentary, it, for me, anybody else will have a different perspective, was not good. And at one point, during the women's match, when it came to, what was her, Chica de Tormenta, when she got kicked in the stomach by Lola Vice, what did he say? Oh, she's selling that well. Those were his exact words. Why the blue fuck would you do that? What? Look, every commentator has a different style. And sometimes they kind of throw in a little bit of the fourth wall, letting you know, yeah, we know this is kind of scripted, but we're trying our best to make it really feel exciting, something special. But there's a point where you do not cross. And this stupid son of a bitch, and understand, I don't say that out of disrespect. I actually say that with respect. He's been in the business many years, more years than most people have been alive. He's worked his ass off. He's gone through stomach surgery. The boy has busted his ass and given his body and his life to pro wrestling. But dude, come on. You're going to say she's selling it well on an open mic? Really? Corey didn't say anything because he can't. It would be stupid for Corey to say, I don't think you should be saying that. He can't do that in an open mic. But I'm sure Corey Graves is like, did he just say she's selling it well? What the fuck? That's probably what went in his head, because that's what went in my head. And I'm like, what the fuck? A commentator don't do that. Come on, Conan, you know better, but he did it anyway. And when you see how this went down with the commentary, which wasn't the best, because Corey had to compensate a lot for Conan's not really great enthusiasm. That was something I noticed. Now, the next thing I noticed, the very opening of the show where they did the Mexican national anthem, and then they did the American national anthem. And I see, what is her name? Penta. I can't remember her first name. But she is the wife of the guy who started AAA. And I won't say the vid packs were bad. At least they had subtitles, which was great. So I could understand the reasoning behind why AAA was formed in the first place back in 1990. What was 1990? And then 92 is around AAA's creation. No different than WWE or WWF creating WrestleMania, which Triple Mania got its name from. There's no way that Penta Sr. was not going to use WrestleMania as a catalyst to call his own special pay-per-view something that people already been hearing about and people already interested in. He made the right call, and I have no problem. But seeing her there, standing there with between Shawn Michaels, Triple H, a couple of wrestlers, hearing Jillian Garcia singing, and the other lady who was singing, I don't recognize her. She's probably someone very famous in singing. Let me give it to you like this. I have a thought about what Penta did. And I'll say that at the end if I don't forget. But there was a thought that went like a shot, like lightning through my head the minute I stared at her. And I will tell you at the end. But let's get back to the six-man tag. Was it good? Yes. It was Lucha Libre. Not much different than what we get already in WWE. Let's make it clear. Almost every match we had was basic Lucha Libre that, for the most part, is already going on in WWE. Yes, I do agree to a certain extent with Conan. It is not as cranked down as WWE would do it. WWE is at 80% at Lucha Libre and high-flying wrestling. Let's make this clear. We got a lot of people on the roster who does a lot of high-flying and some Lucha Libre to a very strong extent. It's not from the LWO or Andrade or anybody. Most of the roster, and they're English Americans, are doing most high-flying and Lucha Libre wrestling. Hurricane Rana, a suicide dive, that is now standard practice in WWE. So we really didn't get a lot more than what we normally would. At least from most wrestlers. Maybe they gave us just a little bit more. They didn't go 100% all out because WWE will not let them go 100% all out. Because I have seen Lucha Libre, and when they really want to go all out, they will be incredibly reckless compared to what they do here in WWE and what we just saw in Worlds Collide. So you got maybe 85% of a maximum of Lucha Libre. 85. Not 100% like Conan said, but I'm not disagreeing with him. They gave us a little bit more. In the end, it was Octagon Jr. who represent AAA in technically TNA. Because he is part of the Aztec Warriors. He's the one who got the pin. And I don't remember who was the one he got the pin from. I think it was one of the other wrestlers. I don't think it was Aerostar. I think it might have been the other wrestler. That wasn't Mr. Iguana. Which I say again, he was the most entertaining thing there. The puppet, the iguana puppet, people loved. So there you go. The women's match. Stephanie Vaquer and Lola Vice versus what is her name? Yanis? And Chica Tormenta. I do believe I've seen Chica Tormenta at least twice. I never seen the other one. But Chica Tormenta, I do remember her name, and I do believe I've seen her twice in wrestling. Just twice. And we get this match. And it seemed a little lopsided due to the fact that I don't know what it was. There was a problem here. It wasn't that Lola Vice was the issue. It was something else. It was something like, when it came to Stephanie, she knew these women. So she knew how to wrestle them, but there was something wrong with the women. Chica Tormenta and the other one seemed a bit sloppy. And I'm going, wait a minute, what's going on here? They should know Stephanie. They worked with Stephanie. At one point, Conan said, whoever you are when you first start Lucha Libre and when you get in the ring for the first time with somebody, they become your godfather or your godmother. And Stephanie knows these people. Hell, she knows one of the women that's considered a godmother. I don't remember who it is. I don't think it's Tormenta. I think it's the other woman. But it felt sloppy. And I'm like, wait. What's going on here? What is happening? And I didn't know what it was. And I still don't. There were certain parts that looked like it was so badly mistimed, I'm confused. And other times, it seemed perfectly fine until it's like someone was not happy. I know I might be stretching, but if you notice how the match was going, most of the match was perfectly fine. But there were certain points it's like, wait a minute, it's like someone's not happy in this match. Someone is not happy doing this match, and they voiced their opinion in certain moves they did. I don't know what it was. I don't think it was Stephanie. Lola was just Lola. But it was like one of the other two women was like, I'm not too fond of this. So that's just me. In the end, Stephanie was the one who got the pin on, what was the lady's name? Lidelis? I believe that's her name is. I'm pronouncing it wrong. I'm sorry, I'm bad with names. No matter if they're English or Spanish or Japanese. I'm bad with names until I know them. But we got it. But it was weird. Next, we got another 6-man tag. Legado del Fantasma versus Triple A's Wagner and Psycho Clown. And I can't remember who the third person was. But I will tell you this. Just like an iguana, Psycho Clown was the most interesting person. I've actually heard about a wrestler named Psycho Clown. I've never seen him. But I heard that he was a very unique type of wrestler in Triple A. I heard about him. So I got to finally get to see him. I get to see him. And I can understand why people see him very differently. Now, supposing he's from a huge family and 21 members of his family have been wrestlers. So I think he's a third-generation wrestler. So he has second or third generation. He has sisters that are wrestling, some other relatives that are wrestling. So that's a pretty big family that is well known, which is perfectly fine. He was a unique individual. Do I believe he was the best standout of the show? No. But he was unique. In the end, we get Santos Escobar getting the pin on somebody. I can't remember who. So right now, we got 1 win for AAA and 2 wins for WWE. We go to the North American Championship match, where we got the Laredo Kid from AAA and TNA. You got Phoenix, Devon Evans, and Ethan Page. Now, let's make this very clear. Ethan wasn't jobbing here. I knew that even before seeing this match. They are not letting him drop it when he just got it from Ricky Saints. There's no way. And I was right. Now, was the match good? Yes. Laredo Kid and Ray Phoenix really helped the match a lot. Now, I'm not saying Devon Evans didn't do well. He did. For someone as young as him in the business, he's been doing well keeping up with the other high-flying Lucha Libre wrestlers. But as I said before, there are a lot of high-flying Lucha Libre wrestlers. Or a lot of high-flying wrestlers. He's not the only one in the company. And he needs to do something to make himself stand out. Legitimately. And as it stands, now that we have more AAA wrestlers coming in, Devon, who was here, has dropped down to here. And that's not meant to be disrespectful to Devon Evans. a good high flyer wrestler. But next to Dragon Lee, next to the Garzas, next to Santos Escobar, next to Andrade, next to Rey Fenix or Penta, next to Axiom, Frazier, where is he? And there's even more people on top of that I haven't even mentioned. I don't remember it offhand. But you got Devon Evans who came in. They really believed there's something special about him. As far as I can tell, his stock has dropped. Not because he's bad. It's because now it's oversaturated with a lot of high-flying wrestlers. Do you now see what I'm talking about, having a well-rounded show? When you bring in the same style of wrestler all the time, it gets oversaturated. And that is what we got with Devon Evans. If you can't see anything different from him, then you got to fall back on what else does he have. Does he have the ability to have psychology in a match? Does he have the ability to have a good look? Does he have charisma? Does he have the ability to talk? At this point, right now in his career, no. He just got something that made him better than he was, but I don't see him great right now. And I see him somewhat good because of him working with Ethan Page and when he got his jaw broke. That is the only thing he had going for him. At least he had improved a bit working with Ethan. But in the end, he lost. It was Ethan who won. Now, the best match of the night. And I'm sure people would say, dude, what about Dominic dealing with Octagon Jr.? Well, if you've seen Money in the Bank, I've done the review of Money in the Bank, you saw Dom retain his title. I don't think I forgot to mention it. If I did forget to mention Dominic, I'm gonna be pissed off. As far as I remember, I did mention Dominic. But let's make this very clear. Dom doing what he did was not too surprising because his dad was in the beginning of the show talking Spanish and English. But I'm gonna say this. The best match of the night was none of these. It was Chad Gable versus Vikingo. No Vikingo from AEW. I know Vikingo from TNA. He's been in TNA. He's been in AEW. So I am well versed in him now at this point. So I know what he can do. We all know that Vikingo does very good high-flying Lucha Libre wrestling. But he wasn't the key here. It was Chad who made the match mean something. I know people say, dude, come on. No. Because you need two people who have good chemistry. And Chad made the match work. Because Vikingo can go all over the place, but if his partner sucks, he's going to suck. So Chad Gable showed that he can work a high, fast-paced, high-flying Lucha Libre style, with chain wrestling added into it. And Vikingo, for his part, not only does he normally does Lucha Libre wrestling, he does do Mexican chain wrestling and no submission, because he did do a little bit to mess with a Chad Gable. It was a good match. The twisting 450 off the second turn rope while he was backwards was done very well. I do commend him on it. I did like it. In the end, I found out when I was watching Money in the Bank, Chad had lost. But how he lost was what I didn't know. And he looked good. He looked good when he lost. And I was fine with it. So Vikingo retains his Mega Championship. At least for now, because we have no idea how things are going to change. And that leads me to here and my thoughts on Worlds Collide. Was it a good representation of Triple A? Yeah, pretty much. It was fine. It wasn't spectacular. It wasn't. You did get some wrestlers that are from the main roster, some wrestlers that are from NXT. Fine. But like I said, when I saw Penta, the wife of the one who started AAA, one thought shot through my head. One. She was stupid. I'm sorry. For me personally, this is me. This is me, guys. This is not anyone else. And this is not to say that this is the most stupidest woman I've ever seen in my life. Because she's been running AAA for a while with her, I believe, her son. Or she's been running it all by herself. I'm not saying she's worked the business into the ground, because she didn't. Because if I'm about to say TKO, if Silver Lake WWE believed that that was worth trying to acquisition it, which they did, that means she'd done a damn good job. But here's the thing. As much as she did a great job as the owner of the company, she sold it. And now, this show represents what's going to happen. Because this show just showed you they just got the SmackDown treatment. If you guys remember when Vince was around, SmackDown always went up against Raw and consistently lost either on a pay-per-view, if it was SmackDown versus Raw, normally Survivor Series, or any other show, any other pay-per-view, when you pit the SmackDown roster versus the Raw roster. This is SmackDown, this is Raw. You never saw SmackDown win. If you guys remember, when they started doing Raw versus SmackDown, every year was the same thing. Raw kicked SmackDown's ass consistently. It was never winning any tournaments or anything. Never. Yes, they had great wrestlers on SmackDown, and like the Tribal Chief was there, he didn't look bad, but they never won. Ever. And now look what we got. Because it was made apparent with Conan that he could not stand that WWE's got 1 up on them, and then 2 up, and then 3. And he was worried Van Kingo was going to lose and was going to be 4-1. And they got 3-2. And he's proud of them. No, don't be. Because you lost. You know why? Because they're getting the SmackDown treatment. Just like NXT is going to be getting the SmackDown treatment. Just like TNA gets the SmackDown treatment. Triple A, which who knows how long they're going to keep that name, because I still believe they're going to turn to NXT Mexico. And the very woman that is currently not the owner, but has shares in the company still, is going to find out she might have made the worst mistake of her life, because I do not buy 1 minute that Triple A is going to stay the way it is for long. It may take a year or 2. You don't know. But it's going to come down to it that Triple A is going to conform to what WWE wants. It doesn't make a difference that they think things are great. It's not. Once WWE has the acquisition, which they do, they're going to change that thing to what they think is going to suit them. And understand, if Vince was there and he had gotten AAA, which he would have never done it. He doesn't care. Vince never cared about other companies. The only thing he cared about was making sure he was dominant over the other companies. So whenever he needed whatever they wanted, well, what I mean is when new wrestlers come in from those companies, he would take them and do whatever the hell he wanted with them. Now that Vince is not there. And also that Ari, who may be the CEO of TKO and Endeavor, and he will tell them what to do, he's not in charge either. The shareholders of Silver Lake will ultimately tell him what to do. It doesn't make a difference what anybody said. The CEO can still do what the shareholders want him to do. They can influence him. And it's only a matter of time. If Ari doesn't make this decision himself, it will be the shareholders who hold 60% of the damn companies that was his will tell him, change AAA. Turn into something we can make really good money. Change it. And you will see AAA change into something that no one is going to like. Period. That's the truth. AAA is done. No matter what anyone says. If anyone who's from AAA says, dude, you don't know anything. Really? Do you not know how companies act once they're acquisitioned? You watch and see. Look what happened with ROH. ROH, yes, Tony is running it, but what is it really doing? It has no relevance in AEW. It's not even its own company, even though they say it is, because it has no interest. Any type of streaming service it's going to is a low tier, almost probably free streaming service to be able to give them something. So you will see for yourself. It's not going to be me. If I'm wrong, fine. AAA stays as it is, and it stays strong. and WWE treats them better and not make them like the SmackDown of old where they have to lose so WWE can look good, or they have to lose and NXT has to look good. If they come on top, fine, I'm wrong. I'll accept that. You can tell me, dude, you were wrong. Fine. But if I'm right, you're going to find out that Triple A is going to go from here where they're still on a high because they've been purchased. It'll come if I'm right. But if I'm not right, I'm fine with that. I'm fine. I'm be glad that it's been maintained. But if I'm right, she's going to regret what she did. But this is just me. Peace.